Welcome back to America Decides. I'm very excited about this conversation because hitting the bookshelves today and available in all other formats, a new book that offers fresh and important, memorable insights into last year's, well, just pick your adjective, whatever, unpredictable, unprecedented, historic, yeah. It's called Fight, Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House. Its authors, Amie, Parnes, Jonathan Allen, at the desk with me. Great to see you both. Congratulations. I like to ask reporters who write books this one basic question. What are you most proud of? What's the nugget or the thing that's in there that you're most happy with?
That's a very good question. I think that what it does, I mean, there's something for everyone in this book. There's a playbook for Democrats and Republicans going forward. They can actually look at this book, see their mistakes, see what they did well, and bring it into the next election. But they're also really juicy tidbits that weren't really revealed in the election that John and I had to dig for, and that didn't come easy, as you know.
It never comes easy. John, give me a nugget you're proud of.
So actually what I love is the opening of the book, which is 360, as you know, where we're watching all of the Democrats who are watching Joe Biden on a debate stage have this debacle against Donald Trump. So we take you inside Nancy Pelosi's condo where she's watching by herself. We tell readers for the first time that she had gone to Biden and told him not to debate Trump. She had urged him not to get on the same stage. Obviously, if she thought he was going to beat Trump, she wouldn't have done that. She didn't phrase it that way. She said, you know, Mr. President, I think you'll beat him, but you shouldn't get on the stage. But she was worried about it. Jim Clyburn, the congressman from South Carolina, very close to Biden, sitting in his condo drinking Jack Daniels and Diet Pepsi. Al Sharpton up on the Upper East Side of New York in his condo. All of them watching alone. Normally, politicians get together for a debate watch party. This is, and all of these people had this, like, you know, sort of sinking feeling, call it a gut instinct. And I think, you know, from that opening, what you get as a reader is a real sense of how close we're going to bring you to all of these players.
And one of the themes that runs through this is a kind of collective denialism among Democrats. Amie?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of revisionist history happening right now, Major, but I think when you talk to Democrats at the time, they were thinking, okay, he's ready, he can do this. You know, they would point to the State of the Union address and say, look, he was fiery, he was, you know, responsive in real time, and they kind of held that one appearance up as like the be-all, end-all. And then you look at what John and I tried to do was to go back and talk to people who had interacted with the president. And we found out that, you know, he wasn't recognizing people that he should have recognized. There was an effort to put makeup on him before international events. That was his first thing that he did when he was away on these foreign trips and junkets. He often missed meetings to have the makeup done. And so you start to peel back the layers and find out what was really happening.
John, I want to ask you about Pelosi. You mentioned her, but also former President Obama. How did they involve themselves in not only the post-debate analysis, Kamala Harris becoming the nominee to be then the absolute nominee of the party, and what's their relationship with Biden now?
So great question. All those are great questions. I
try to pack a lot into this, you know?
Also, by the way, I appreciated you talking about reporters who write books and what's their favorite nugget, because you, of course, are a reporter who's written books. So you know the challenges and the way we love things. I think there is some evolution, some movement of Pelosi and Obama over time in a way, as you'll see in the book. But basically, the debate happens, and Nancy Pelosi's biggest fear is that there is going to be a bum rush to get rid of Joe Biden so fast that Kamala Harris ends up with the nomination. So she wants to maneuver Biden out, probably at the very beginning, but she's not 100% sure because she's worried Harris is going to get it. And so you watch her go through these various steps, and at some point she becomes convinced that it absolutely has to be that Biden leaves. And what the reasoning for her is she wants to make sure that the Democrats don't also lose the House and the Senate. And what you could tell after, you know, a few days or at least a week or so was that the polling was getting a lot worse for House and Senate Democratic candidates. And so she sees him pulling the whole party down. And what she does is what nobody else in the Democratic Party was willing to do, which is to go out there and push him and prod him and not do it in a nasty way. But for example, she had gone on, I'll say, on another network, and said at one point, Joe Biden has a decision to make. He still needs to decide what he's going to do. 2 days earlier, he'd sent a letter to Congress saying, "Hey guys, I'm staying. I've made up my mind." Right? So she's easing him out. Barack Obama did not think that Joe Biden should have run for president in 2016, did not think he should have run in 2020. And by the way, Biden didn't run in 16, but he did run in 20. Obama didn't think Biden was a very good political guy from the beginning. And he immediately also wanted to see Biden out. He knew that he had lost influence with Biden by not having backed his previous runs. The two guys have this sort of tension between them. They both believe that they're God's greatest gift to politics. And you see that tension play out in this book. But ultimately, Obama also doesn't have faith in Kamala Harris.
Right.
And he is trying
so
to
that's one thing that Pelosi and Obama share.
Yeah.
At least as it plays out in this entire process. I want to talk about Biden and Kamala Harris, because there was something fascinating, absolutely astonishing to me that I read. And I'm going to read the quote. This is President Biden talking to Vice President Harris the night before her debate, her one and only debate with Donald Trump. No longer able to defend his own record, he expected Harris to protect his legacy. Whether she won or lost the election, he thought, she would only harm him by publicly distancing herself from him. He needed just 3 words to convey how much all that mattered to him. No daylight, kid. Setting aside for a moment the vaguely insulting reference to her as a kid, whether she won or lost the election? Excuse me, your legacy is deeply attached to that outcome. It would seem to me, and based on my experience, and I know yours, in that moment you say whatever you have to do to win, even if it means torching me in full public view, you do what you have to do to win.
Yeah, I know.
That seems to me a very revealing part of this relationship.
It was, and what we reveal in this book is that there are almost 2 layers of things going on right now, if you will. There's the staff sort of agreement where they're giving them kind of the leeway to have daylight, but the principals themselves have reached this agreement not, for her not to have daylight. So there is all kinds of confusion, and we learn more about that in this book. But yeah.
And Garrett, getting to, I think, to the morality point, or the morality of politics, such as that goes, once he's no longer the candidate, she's the one, and he doesn't realize that he's not willing to accept it. He wants it to still be him. He wants to be in control of things, and he's not willing to have his legacy torched, to your point, in order to make her president of the United States if she thinks that's what is best. And that is, to your point, astonishing.
And look at the moment on The View when she goes on The View. And I mean, it was shocking to a lot of people, including her campaign staff who sat there.
Just a quick reminder, she goes on The View and she's asked, is there anything you would do differently? And she pauses, looks to the rafters for a second and says, not that I can think of, or some words to that effect.
Exactly.
And that becomes, it took a week, surprisingly long time for the Trump campaign to turn around, but it turned around an ad that did not work to her advantage.
No, exactly.
And that's putting it mildly.
Right. And her staff was almost shocked that she said that because they had prepared for that moment.
Jonathan, the book goes into some very important detail about the Trump view of this whole thing. Beat him on the debate stage, that is to say, Biden, rise in the polls, then there's a switch. Then they see this momentum for Harris. But underneath all of those headlines and rallies and television ads, they're fundamentals that they don't see moving. And that is part of their continuous level of confidence about where this thing, with some ups and downs, would ultimately land.
Yeah, his campaign staff is telling him to kind of, they don't tell him to chill out. It's President Trump. Nobody tells him to chill out. But they are trying to, from the moment she gets in and her numbers start to go up, certainly from where Biden's were, and looks like it's going to be a more competitive race, his team tries to prepare him for the idea that it's going to get a lot closer. And at the same time, once it starts getting closer, Trump starts getting agitated. He taps Corey Lewandowski, his former campaign manager, says, go down to the campaign headquarters, see what's going on. Lewandowski goes in there, mucks around, decides he's going to argue that Susie Wiles, the campaign manager, and Chris LaCivita, the senior advisor, are somehow bilking Trump or running a bad budget because he knows Trump cares about that. He cares about the money stuff. And ultimately, Trump shuts Lewandowski down. There's a really, hopefully readers will take a look, a really, I think, graphic shutdown in the book, how that happened on Trump Force One. But the point of all of this is, at the moment where Donald Trump could have chosen more chaos or could have chosen more stability in his own campaign, he chose more stability, and it's very unusual for him. He has not chosen that in campaigns before. He's not chosen that in the White House before. But in order to win this time, after losing the last time, he was willing to put aside his basic gut instinct.
Amie, near the end of the book, there are lots of Democratic assessments about what happened, what went wrong. This one struck me. You can't gaslight the American people about Afghanistan, gaslight them about inflation, gaslight them about the president's decline, and think none of that's going to add up to a political problem, said one veteran Democratic strategist who worked on past presidential campaigns.
Yeah.
And then you write, Kamala Harris had been gaslit too.
She was shocked in the end to find out that she had lost. Tim Walz was also shocked to find out, and we go into detail. We put you inside the room as they find out that they have lost the campaign. Both of them can't find the words. They were led to believe that they were winning and that they would win. And so we take you inside to learn that they were completely shocked by the outcome. She went and campaigned and saw these large crowds. She bought into the hype of the vibe around her campaign when in fact it wasn't necessarily true.
Amie Parnes, Jonathan Allen, congratulations. The book is called Fight. It's available everywhere at today's pub date. Thanks so much for being here.